Tonight, the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation announces a second round of job action. Also, emotional testimony on day 3 of the inquest into the mass stabbings at James Smith Cree Nation. Plus, a Regina company wants you to shop local after their design was found ripped off on a popular discount site.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, January 17th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. One day after teachers picketed across the province, the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation is announcing a 5-day countdown to more job action. Yesterday's strike saw more than 13,000 teachers picketing at 40 highly visible locations across the province. It was the first action since teachers voted in favor of job sanctions back in October. Today, teachers are back in the classroom, but the STF says more pushing is needed to get an agreement, and that the next job action might look different.
That job action could be, like you said, another walkout. It could be a withdrawal of voluntary services. It could be a restriction of teachers' hours of work, or more of a work to rule. At this point, we are just letting government know. We're putting them on notice that they've got 5 days, change their mandate. If they change their mandate, we can stop the clock. We can get back to the table and have meaningful conversations.
Classroom sizes and complexity remain the top issue for the STF. In a statement, the government says it's disappointed, but will not negotiate those things at the table. The STF says it will announce details for Monday's action with no less than 48 hours' notice. The coroner's inquest into the mass stabbing at James Smith Cree Nation and Weldon continued today. So far, RCMP officers outlined the massacre on September 4th, 2022, and the hours leading up to it. Today, day 3, officers talked about the communication between James Smith and the RCMP. Some of the family members of the victim say they don't have faith in the inquest process or the recommendations. Stuart Head says questions from his family are not being answered and seem to be passed along down the line.
It don't sit too well with me right now. We lost 12 band members at one time. And, you know, we're continuing to lose people to a drug and alcohol problem, and that has to be addressed. We need to fix things back home.
The inquest is scheduled until February 2nd. At its end, 6 jurors will be tasked with making recommendations to prevent similar tragedies from happening again. And following the inquest for us in Melfort is the CBC's Jason Warwick, who joins me now. Jason, today we heard testimony from one of the first RCMP officers to arrive at the scene. Tell us more about that.
Yes, Sam. To this point, we've heard detailed chronologies about what happened in a factual manner. We've also heard from some community members and family members over the last several months. But this is the first time we've actually heard from a police officer who arrived at the scene first, and we get it through their point of view. So Constable Tanner Maynard was testifying today here at the community center in Melfort. He described one harrowing scene just after he arrived at James Smith Cree Nation on that morning of September 4th, 2022. He arrived in a home to find a woman administering CPR to a relative. He could clearly see that the woman on the floor had passed away, had died. But he encouraged the relative to continue to give CPR, to continue to give medical care, because he said in his experience, it's much better for families to cope long-term if they feel they've done everything they possibly can. So as he continued to try and help these families medically, safety-wise, emotionally, he realized that he had to make the very difficult decision to leave them in that state and go to the increasing number of calls that were coming in from other homes. And so as he drove, and as his partner, who he was separate from, drove to many other locations, the calls just started coming in faster and faster and faster about more and more reports of people being wounded or being attacked. And he realized that this was no longer about treating and helping people, it was about tracking down an attacker. This was an active scene, and it just quickly became very chaotic, he said. Everyone had good intentions, he said, but the number of different RCMP officers from all over the province, the plane coming in from Saskatoon, the ambulances from PA and Melfort and elsewhere, the conservation officer who they tasked to provide a triage security at the band office, they were all coming in, and it was left to him as the first officer on scene to try and coordinate all of this. At the same time, they were trying to hunt down Miles Sanderson. They were getting reports of him in Weldon, so he sent people there. They did not find him. And as you all know, Miles Sanderson evaded police and was not captured until 3 or 4 days later off the highway near Rostern, Saskatchewan, and died shortly after that, Sam.
So all of these details continue to come out. What are we expecting to happen tomorrow?
Yes, tremendous amount of detail. So tomorrow, we are expected to hear from some of the community members, former partners of suspect Miles Sanderson, or killer Miles Sanderson, I'm sorry, as well as the first victim, Damian Sanderson, and his former partner. So we should get yet another perspective that has not come to light to this point, and all of these puzzle pieces, as one person referred to them today, will hopefully complete a picture which will give all of the information that some of these families are seeking, but also learn in the future how to prevent things from happening. As you said before, there are mixed feelings though, so we'll see how the week progresses. Jason, before I let you go, are people being taken care of? This feels very heavy. It's unimaginable what the families here are going through. There are a decreasing number that are choosing to attend this week. I would count a little more than a dozen people from James Smith that were here for the entire day today. Many chose not to attend because it's traumatic. Whether they want to hear the answers in a summary form from an official or not, many of them do not want to be here. There are leaders here, there are community support workers and elders who are taking care of them, and they are clearly taking advantage of those resources in private rooms off of the main auditorium, Sam. Thanks for this, Jason. You're welcome. The CBC's Jason Work joining us from Melfort. Saskatoon is getting a new permanent 30-bed emergency shelter, but there are questions about when it will open. The province announced earlier this month that the Mustard Seed will run it. The Calgary-based Christian charity runs more than a dozen shelters in Alberta and BC. This will be their first in Saskatchewan. The Mustard Seed says the search for a location is ongoing, and that means the shelter might not open this winter.
Really is site dependent as when the open date is. The aspiration was to have it opened in fairly short order, but I think we have to be realistic to say, people have to be able to get access to washroom facilities at whatever the site is, and that's going to take a little bit of time to get up and running.
Regina will also be getting a new permanent emergency shelter. The 20-bed shelter will be run by the YWCA. More details about its opening date will be released when the location is announced. An aggressive, often deadly form of strep is hitting record high case numbers in Canada. As Lauren Pelly reports, Streptococcus A is usually associated with milder infections, but the bacteria can be very dangerous and turn fatal fast.
We'd always read a book before bed.
Christina Heckes says her daughter Quinn started feeling sick last March, just a few weeks shy of her 6th birthday.
We did the things every parent does, the Tylenol, the Advil.
By phone, a doctor told Heckes it was likely just a lingering cold. Suddenly, her daughter took a turn.
Her breathing is labored. Nothing's happened with her fever. It's been 3 days. I said, okay, that's it, no more. We're going to the hospital.
X-rays showed Quinn had pneumonia, and later tests showed her organs were failing. She died within hours.
I don't know how to tell other people how fast it was. My daughter was sitting, watching a movie, having a conversation with her nurses, and not 6 hours later, she was gone.
The cause, a common bacterial infection. Group A streptococcus is usually linked to milder illness like strep throat. But in some cases, bacteria invade the bloodstream, rapidly causing sepsis, even death. New national data provided to CBC News shows infections have spiked, with 4,600 reports of invasive strep A by the end of 2023, the highest annual total recorded in Canada.
So we've been seeing an increased level of invasive group A streptococcal disease.
Ontario officials say in that province, 48 people have died this season, including 6 children.
It's really difficult, of course, for the families and those caring for them. It's something we're tracking closely.
2 people have died so far this year in New Brunswick. And in December, BC officials warned there were twice as many cases of invasive strep among people under 20 than the province expected. Warning signs include a fever, dizziness, confusion, or intense pain. Those symptoms require fast medical attention and antibiotics. But
even though that's the right drug for the right bug, there isn't 100% success rate.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
A week later, we know what caused a fire and explosion at a family-owned restaurant in North Regina. Regina Fire says the explosion and fire that followed on January 10th at Luigi's Pasta House was an accident. So what happened? A steel pipe became dislodged, fell from the underside of the roof deck. That struck a component of the natural gas system below. That caused a major gas release that led to an explosion ignited in the mechanical room. Surprisingly, only 3 people were hurt and not seriously. After the extensive investigation, the building has now been turned back over to the owners. There's no word on the cost of the damages. A Regina business is cautioning people about shopping on cheap websites after one knocked off one of their designs. As Louise Big Eagle reports, it involves Chinese discount shop Temu.
Sticks and Doodles is warning people about shopping on discount websites. The Regina-based woodcrafting business found one of its designs ripped off. A customer discovered their grain elevator ornament was on sale on Temu.
When you go to the Temu page, it gets our picture that we have on our website that they've taken, and it's just of Moosomin. On our website, you can pick your towns, whereas in this case, it's just of Moosomin. So at least Moosomin's getting some publicity out of this, maybe.
The cheap version was going for $2.88, compared to the $20 Sticks and Doodles original. The owner says $3 doesn't even cover the cost of the supplies.
The little acrylic piece, the string, the ink we use on it, that is more than $3. So it's not even like somebody's trying to compete with us with like a slightly cheaper product. It's just like, it almost feels like a joke.
Moffat says it's hard for a small business to compete with online retailers willing to copy ideas. He says his business doesn't have the resources to get into a legal fight.
No creator is safe from counterfeiting, big or small. Shutting down a foreign counterfeiter is not realistic for small business, which means they really have to take the fight to Canada.
So what's a small business to do? Regan Seidler is an intellectual lawyer with Smart and Bigger in Toronto. He says counterfeiting is a major problem.
Small businesses should be registering copyrights on the photos they take, so of the actual product photos. Then if those photos appear in phony listings online, they can submit a complaint to the e-commerce platform and base that complaint on copyright infringement of their photo.
Temu has since removed the knockoff from its website, and Sticks and Doodles has received an outpouring of support. They plan to just keep doing what they're doing. In the future, Moffat says they'll consider selling their designs if people are going to take them anyway. Louise Big Eagle, CBC News, Regina.
A new discount airline will soon land in Regina. Today, Lynx Air announced it will be flying into and out of the Queen City. It's the company's first expansion into Saskatchewan. It will fly between Regina and Toronto and Vancouver starting June 20th. With 6 weekly flights, they will operate Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday with Boeing 737 aircraft. We'll be back after the break. Parts of BC are feeling the wrath of winter. Up to 20 centimeters of snow are expected to fall in some areas before the storm eases later today. And it is causing problems, closing schools, canceling flights, and, of course, power outages. But as Lindsay Duncombe reports, some people are enjoying it.
This rare snow day in Vancouver and throughout the Lower Mainland has brought both joy and frustration. The frustration really is anyone needing to get anywhere today. There are delays on public transit. The buses are using the shorter buses, not the longer ones, because they're more agile. The SkyTrain had to run overnight to prevent the snow from accumulating on the tracks. And in terms of accumulation, that can cause problems for power as well. There are currently thousands of BC Hydro customers who do not have power right now because of all of the snow. So that's the frustration, but there certainly is a whole lot of joy. School is out. College, university, it's out too. And that means people are out enjoying all of that snow. From snowmen to sledding to even skiing, this certainly is a lot of fun for many people.
Yeah, I love snow. So fun to make snowmen.
They love it. Kids love it. I always take him to Cyprus when it's not snowing down here, but it's convenience now.
Well, it's very fun and it's snowing. And the last couple of weeks, it didn't snow, so it's very fun that it snowed.
As fun as this is, it will likely be short-lived. Freezing rain is in the forecast, so people are getting out here and enjoying it while they can. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
This weather update is brought to you by Titan Automotive, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And while we were watching that item, our weather specialist Ethan Williams was expressing his jealousy for the kind of snow that they're getting in BC.
Yeah, very wet snow. That's the kind of snow we need here to end the drought. Lots of moisture packed in there, but we got a lot of that light powdery stuff. It's not really happening all that much, though. In fact, what we're talking about is more cold. Remember these extreme cold warnings? They are back for a limited time only, though. I think this will probably last until tomorrow morning or early afternoon. But Regina, Saskatoon, much of south and central, wind chills tonight down to about -40 to -45. But you know, the wind got light enough this afternoon in both Regina and Saskatoon that we actually climbed out of the -30 range when it came to wind chills. That was after Regina spent about a week's worth consecutively below -30. That's the third longest run on record that we have had. Wind chill records going back into the 1950s. Second longest run was back a few years ago, February 2021. We didn't quite get to 219 consecutive hours. Saskatoon, though, you did actually beat out February of 2021. You had 187 consecutive hours of below -30 wind chills. You beat the 2021 record by about 7 hours there. And this is the reason why, part of the reason anyway, why extreme cold warnings are back in place. Temperatures near -30 for south and central tonight, and the winds are going to start to pick up, especially as we head into tomorrow. These actually may be undershot a little bit. I think for southeastern Saskatchewan, including Regina, we could see some gusts in the 50 to 60 range tomorrow. These are northwesterly winds, so they will be quite brisk, pulling down that cold air from the north until we get a bit of a reprieve heading into Friday. Now, they're picking up because we have a couple of systems ongoing. There's that light powdery snow that's falling in southwestern Saskatchewan. That'll intensify a bit this evening and overnight. Separate system begins moving into northern Saskatchewan tomorrow, especially for eastern sections. That could get as far south as Regina and Saskatoon by about the supper hour tomorrow. But it's out of here pretty quickly as high pressure moves in early Friday morning. That'll give us some brief clearing before that moves out, and then it's a return to cloud cover for the start of the weekend and maybe even a few flurries kind of here and there. So for southwestern Saskatchewan, 5 to 10 centimeters overnight tonight. I think higher amounts the further south and west you go. That system moving into east central Saskatchewan tomorrow will bring maybe about 1 to 3 centimeters, so not a whole lot of snow there. For the north, again, it's the highest amounts closer to the Manitoba border. We could see about 2 to 4 centimeters, maybe some locally heavier amounts a little bit further east you go. Now for Regina, after the snow passes us by tomorrow and we have wind making us probably feel closer to -30 or even below that during the day, things do gradually improve. We get a little bit of clearing, as I say, on Friday, but temperatures still pretty close to -20 before that sudden warm up with the cloud cover as we head into Saturday, and some very nice temperatures at the kind of end of next week there. For Saskatoon, again, similar picture. We're looking for possibly some flurries tomorrow afternoon. Takes a little bit longer to get into those warmer temperatures and get above average, but overnight lows possibly, Sam, in the minus single digits next week.
Woohoo! Thanks,
Agreed.
Ethan.
You bet.
Stay with us. We have more news after the break. Some disappointing news for people looking to save money on groceries. Loblaws will no longer offer 50% off on perishable items nearing their expiry date. Brett Ruskin has more.
One way you can sometimes save money at the grocery store is to go to those discount carts, those bins, to pick up something like this. A sticker, 50% off this head of broccoli. I just picked this up here at this Halifax grocery store under the Loblaws brand. This sticker on this soon to expire piece of broccoli is going to expire itself as well, with Loblaws announcing and sharing details that the 50% off stickers are soon to be 30%. That's at Real Canadian Superstore, that's at Atlantic Superstore, No Frills as well, all of the brands under the Loblaw umbrella. So why is this happening? Well, Loblaw corporate communications managers are telling us that there is a wide range of discounts being offered right now, between 30%, 50%, depending on the store. So this offers some predictability and some consistency nationwide, also consistency between Loblaws and its competitors as well. It says that there is a variety of different discounts offered in-store, in flyer, as well as a flash food app. It's called the Flash Food app. That is the one that Loblaws is advising customers to use, but instead of picking out a piece of broccoli like I did, you have to select a box of a variety of different pieces of produce based on a single picture that you have. So there might be a big bag of onions with a cantaloupe and a soft looking cucumber and things that you may not always want in that purchase. You don't get to see and feel and see what you're buying before you purchase it. You secure it with the app, go and pick it up in store.
You're forced to buy a picture. You can't really see the product, and these products are not as fresh. And so you want, as a consumer, you want to see your product before you actually buy it. You can't see if there's molding or anything like that. You basically have to make that leap of faith before you purchase anything.
And so grocery chains pushing customers to use that app to perhaps save some money, but also get rid of some of its soon to expire produce. The main takeaway, those 50% off stickers that you see on produce that's set to expire soon like this will now read 30% at Loblaws stores all across the country. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
Can we have 50% off the wind chill, please?
Best I can do is 30. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Well, there we go. But yeah, no reprieve from wind chill tonight through southern Saskatchewan and Regina. We'll already be feeling like minus 30 again by midnight. That's kind of about where we are anyway right now. By the morning, we'll get some clearing though. Minus 25, feeling like minus 37. And then heading into the afternoon, the cloud starts to build back into the Regina area. There is a chance we could see some flurries or light snow. That wind, yeah, going to make it probably feel into the minus 30s. For Saskatoon, partly cloudy conditions tonight around minus 25. Will actually be mostly sunny to start the day tomorrow, but yeah, feeling like minus 40 before the clouds and possible flurries quickly build in toward the noon hours with the wind picking up a little bit. But the warmer weather coming soon, Sam.
It's a carrot you keep dangling that I'm just waiting to arrive.
It's a carrot that's 30% off that I'm dangling.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Oh, and that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or you can download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.